Josh Long from San Francisco. Welcome to Duke's Corner.
Thank you so very much for having me, Jim. I'm glad to be here.
It's great to see you here for the first time, and I've been following you on Twitter for a while. I've heard a lot about you, and came across your name on the speaker list for JavaOne. JavaOne is coming up in a few weeks now. Can you believe it?
I'm glad you said it because I wouldn't have believed it,
I know. It's going to be interesting. And so it's in Las Vegas this year, so that'll be different. And it's mid-October, October 17th through 20th. So, well, it's close for you. It's far from me, but let's just start off talking about your speaker. Let's just go over what you're talking about, and then we'll talk a little bit about some other stuff. So, what are you talking about?
Right, I've got a talk called Kubernetes Native Java, which is a look at how to build better apps using Spring, destined for production. Where today, as often as not, production is Kubernetes, and so there's a lot of things that fall out of that, right? You want to be able to take advantage of that dynamic, self-service, ad hoc production environment. And in order to do that, you need to move quickly. So there's a lot of things that fall out of that sort of, let's move quickly because we want to improve quickly. If we move stuff to production, it breaks, we iterate based on that. We improve and then redeploy and then over and over again, right? And so if that's the goal, if going quickly to learn, to improve quickly is the goal, there's a lot of patterns that fall out of that. Things like microservices and continuous delivery, continuous integration, cloud computing, test-driven development, all these things are part of a larger discussion around agility. And in particular, if you're trying to go quickly, you want to work with the production platform, Kubernetes. You don't want to be swimming against the stream, so to speak. So we're going to talk about things that you can do to better integrate with Kubernetes.
Interesting. I was reading your description a little bit earlier, session description, and talk about, blistering fast, cloud native, scalable services. So talk to me about blistering fast and scalable.
Well, we're at a unique point in Java's history, 27 odd years now. And it's now, Java has always been, if you give it a choice between being fast and small, it's always chosen fast, right? And so the JVM I cannot believe they gave it away. That's got to be billions of dollars of R&D that they put in there. I don't know. Nobody's ever told me, but I just imagine 27 years, full team of engineers from all around and then all these contributions from all these different engineers all around the open source community as well. It is a miracle of software.
Look at the market that it's created.
Oh yeah. Oh, whole companies with $1 billion market caps just around serving that particular technology community. It's a miracle, and I love Java, but it has done this by being as fast as possible. One way it's done this is that it has a just-in-time compiler. The just-in-time compiler is embedded in your production code, and it takes the frequently accessed code paths, turns it into native images, operating in architecture-specific native code. And the result can actually be that if you write a mediocre Java program, in a lot of cases, it can actually be faster in terms of transactions per second and so on than a well-written C or C++ program, right? Written by somebody in those languages, just because the native compiler does the work and the memory management, right? The garbage collector is able to see all of the memory. So rather than having these little spikes of activity that are so typical of C and C++ applications, where you have resource acquisition is initialization, where you malloc some memory, do something with it, and then free that memory. That creates little hiccups of memory in those applications. With Java, you've got the garbage collector. It's cleaning the memory off to the side. It's one big contiguous chunk of memory. You don't have to worry about it. Older people might remember defrag in Windows. The same thing is true for RAM. Somebody's got to clean up the RAM. Somebody's got to keep things in order. And so Java does all that. So between the native compiler, the just-in-time adaptive compiler, and the memory management, Java can be blazing fast, right? But it does this by shipping a lot of extra stuff in the runtime footprint of the application, right? And so the question then is, if the native image compilation is so useful, and it's inarguably useful. If it's so useful, why not proactively compile everything to native code, right? And that's the core conceit of the GraalVM native image compiler, which is also an Oracle innovation, right? And so, that thing it's amazing, and you can do amazing things. And it has another quality, which is it's also small. somehow they've managed to make things even faster and smaller, right? And so that's what I'm going to show is how to package applications using GraalVM, using GraalVM native image compilation mechanism to take your extremely fast Java applications, which are already plenty fast, make them plenty fast and small so that they take, a tenth of their regular RAM footprint.
Interesting. Well, I'm looking forward to your session. Sounds interesting. Before we were chatting a little bit earlier, you were saying that you might have something to preview. Is that something you can talk about? Can we break some news here or not?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, so absolutely. I mean, it's no secret. At the end of this year, 2022, we're releasing Spring Boot 3, and that'll build upon Spring Framework 6. This is a new sea tide change in the Spring ecosystem, right? Spring Framework 6 is the next generation, new baseline that'll be here with us for, years, right? I don't know how long, but if you extrapolate, if you look backwards, the last major release of Spring was Spring Framework 5 in 2017, where we assumed a Java 8 baseline for all the people that are building apps on top of Spring. Now, here we are, 2022. It'll have been more than 5 years by the time we release Spring Framework 6. And we're assuming a Java 17 baseline because Java 17 is awesome. It's the right thing to do in 2022. So that's going to be a big change, right? We're going to have there's a new baseline revision there. It implies a lot of benefits for the community as well. And that's going to have also built-in support for GraalVM native image compilation. And then there's just a bunch of other stuff that, again, around Kubernetes, it's about taking all these bits that are interesting in of themselves and then packaging them so that they benefit us in a production environment like Kubernetes.
Cool. All right, great. Listen,
so we'll see Spring Boot 3. Excellent.
So talk a little bit about your experiences at JavaOne. I mean, you're very animated about your session, and I would imagine that when you do other conferences around the world, I mean, because there's some great Java conferences around the world,
Sure.
and the community is truly global, and there's older people that have been around for 25 years the whole time, and there's younger people that are like 20 years old, and so give me a sense of your experiences around the community.
So JavaOne, I work as a developer advocate on the Spring team, right? Before the pandemic, when travel was, as big as it's ever been, I was doing 650,000 miles every year, right? 1 million kilometers every year on planes. I set foot on 6 of the 7 continents. And you mentioned, by the way, how global Java is. That should be a testament to that. But I will say nobody's invited me to Antarctica, and I don't know why not. There's no Java conference that I know of there, but we should work on this if you're listening, Oracle. I did 1 million kilometers every year, visiting dozens and dozens of countries every year, hundreds of cities every year. I flew more than 0.1% of all the pilots and people on the planet, basically, and that was all without everything I did was in terms of Java. I did that all year round, 24/7, right? I was talking to people about Java, and it was it's not like I did the same conference. It's not like I was at the same show twice, and there was a different show. If I came back to the same city, there's a different reason to be there. Right. And so that I say that to say that Java truly is this global phenomenon, right? It's this incredible, wonderful community. But JavaOne, that's special, right? That's the place. That's where I meet people, where I've always met people who then invite me to other places. So I've got I'm a Java champion, so I love seeing all my fellow Java champions at JavaOne. That's usually a big event for me right there. I was in a keynote once at JavaOne, I think, and that was a ton of fun. I mean, I just have so many great memories. I've made friends, long-lasting friends that I've known for more than a decade in some cases, all at JavaOne, right? And you talk about, that 25 years. I've been using Java since the 90s, right? I have close to 25, if not more, years writing Java code.
Wow.
And it's just the fact that I still feel like I don't know anything, the fact that I'm standing before you now and I feel humbled to have learned all this new stuff. And again, the reason that people can glom onto all this stuff, the reason that they have a way to learn all this stuff is things like JavaOne, right? You go there, it's the zeitgeist, it's just incredible, energetic, exciting place to be. And that you can't say that about most languages that are 25 plus years old in age, The fact that there's still brand new stuff that is paradigm changing every year. what a good time to be alive, you know?
Yeah, I had no idea. I joined Sun in 2000, just a few months before JavaOne, and I had no clue what I was getting into. I came to Sun in San Francisco from 3Com in Boston, which was at the time probably 3Com was probably 1/4 the size of Sun,
Right.
and it didn't have a big developer community and that kind of thing. So I just jumped into, you know, and I remember the keynote, you know, getting into the keynote, the line was snaked around Moscone, you know, and I says, oh, this is, I don't know what I'm doing here, you know, and so, but it was, I met so many people, I knew nobody, didn't know any of the issues or anything like that. But I very quickly sussed out who the cool people were, who were the people that involved in developer communities and open source. And at that time, not a lot of stuff was open source at Sun, but eventually we opened up everything. And
right.
So yeah, no, it was just the people around the technology was what I noticed, right?
Yeah,
and
awesome.
It was certain personality, just a certain ethic, you know, was very, very cool. And so,
Absolutely.
you know, I just kind of stumbled into this, you know, in terms of community building kind of stuff at you know, Sun. But what about you? How did you get involved? I mean, to scale it up to the level that you just described in terms of going so many conferences around the world, working with the community?
Dumb luck.
Really?
I'm by no means qualified. I have no idea why I still have a job. They haven't fired me yet. In 2010, I was just a pure play engineer, which is hard enough, I suppose. And I was contributing to the Spring integration open source projects. And the then project lead, Mark Fisher, lovely but foolish person, offered me a job, which is why I say he's a fool. And I was like, and he said, we've got this new thing called developer advocacy. Would you like to do this job? I was like, what's that? I can't do that. Is that like James Ward or Arun Gupta or something? He's like, nah, that's not me. I couldn't do that. And so I walked away. I closed the Skype session. You remember Skype? Yeah.
Yeah. Oh my God.
I closed the Skype session and walked away like, silly man. And then I got 5 minutes away. I almost got to the kitchen to pour a cup of coffee. I'm like, what am I doing? And I ran back and I said, yes, I'll take it. Of course I'll take it. I want to work with the Spring team, and I want to be where that energy is. And it's been just one heck of a ride since then. I've been able to be a part of the evolution of Spring since 2010, officially and unofficially before. I was already an author that had written books. I was already talking on the circuit and so on. So to be able to go out there and just be a part of it, be the biggest fan, to be a witness to all this, and what a privilege, you know. And then Java, of course, is the reason for the season. Java 8 in 2014, huge, you know, huge. It changed the energy around the community. And then also in 2014, Spring Boot came out. So between these two things, there was just this incredible, wonderful sort of a renaissance, if you will, you know, just truly an amazing experience.
So you mentioned that you were an engineer, and then you got this huge opportunity to do developer advocacy. What about before then? Why did you become an engineer? Did you just like software development? Did you just like solving problems? Or did you just stumble into that as well?
I stumbled into it. I wanted to do computer graphics. Right? I think so many of us start with that fast feedback. Like, I want to see pixels move. I want to see them dance, you know? As soon as you start drawing on the computer, as soon as you start editing photos on the computer, that's cool, you know. But what if I could automate it? What if I could, you know, integrate it? What if I could do things with it? You know, make it not just a moment in time, but make it something interactive in some way. And that was the late '90s, and you know, I started learning Java and applets, and you know, it just got better from there. You know, it's just that I didn't even know I liked or had a proclivity for really? Engineering and software and all this. But Java made me feel like I could do amazing things with a little bit of effort, you know.
So you mentioned that you were sort of, after all the work you've done,
yeah,
right, you were still humbled. You were still learning.
Always. More so than ever.
I know. I certainly realize that, especially in tech, really anywhere in tech, but particularly in software, things obviously change very, very rapidly. But not everybody always expresses it like you did in terms of being humble and always having to learn. This is the reason I got into, you know, tech, is because I'm a lot older. You know, I got in late, but I realized that things change very, very rapidly. So if you don't keep up, there's, in other words, there's always new opportunities for people who embrace that change, right?
Jump on the train. Absolutely. There's always a next stop. And just because you started 10 years before I did doesn't mean you know more useful things for software today than I do. There's just no guarantee of that at all.
And that's a really interesting distinction between software and some other fields. You know, that really is.
Absolutely. And what a wonderful thing too, because of course, I'm going to hate myself for saying this, but I hope that people like us who are software engineers and all that, I hope we're useless. I hope the world looks at us as just people who can read and write in not too far. The fact that this is like a rarefied air or whatever, the fact that we get paid these obscene salaries to write code when teachers make a pittance in America, for example, that's just, it shouldn't be that way, right? Software, I think people should be able to read and write software, right? Computers control the world. He or she who controls the computers, therefore controls the world, right? And so the more open, the more accessible this stuff gets, the better. Absolutely. And if that means that, I take a demotion, great,
Cool. Well, all right. I'm looking forward to meeting you live instead of through Zoom. And
you're going to make the journey?
Yeah, I'll be there. Sure.
That's a schlep. You're in Japan, right? I just saw that they're opening up just today in the news.
Yeah, well, slowly. It's slowly.
Maybe we'll see each other twice this year.
Yeah, well, I was in Stockholm for JFocus and I was at DevNexus, but I don't know if we crossed paths.
I was not in Stockholm, but I was at DevNexus. Bummer.
Okay. Stockholm's JFocus is, I don't know. I went there in 2019, right before the fund started, and I was just blown away. It has a certain personality. I mean, all conferences have great personalities. I should say have unique personalities, and I mean, if they thrive throughout time. And I just thought it was just outrageous, sort of a, it was everything's space and this and that, I just liked it. I just realized it was a good size too, about 1,000 or so people. It was manageable. It sort of like San Francisco. You can manage the city. It's small. You can get around, but it's high quality. Right. So,
I love the idea of, what is it? Fika, right? The stop and smell the coffee. Yeah. That whole coffee break. Just you say fika and people know, okay, let's take a break. Let's go get some coffee. I love it. I love Java. I love coffee. It works for me.
Cool. All right, Josh, we'll see you in a couple of months, October 17th in Las Vegas. Talk to you soon.
Talk to you soon, my friend.